God ever wrecked your normal? Y'all, that is all too real. This is Rachel Elizabeth with Real Talk with Rach, and we talk about real things. We talk about relatable, real things, because by talking about these things, we begin a conversation, and these conversations hopefully will bring you into better relationship with others, deeper intimacy with God, and make you an all-around more awesome human being. So today I want to talk about how God tore down my normal walls and set me free by teaching me who He is. Y'all, this could be my entire story, but I'm going to focus it in on just this last week. If you want to see my whole story, you can catch that here. It's called Fitness is Not the Answer. And that'll give you a lot more background on who I am and where I come from. But as far as this week's vlog, I want to tell you a little bit about this past week. A week ago, I posted a video that said straight up, I don't know where I'm going to be a week from now. And I thought that I was going to leave Fort Collins, Colorado, hit the road, and be somewhere amazing on Wednesday. But that didn't exactly happen. It definitely happened, but not the way I planned, and not according to my version of normal. It happened even better than I had planned. Last Wednesday, I packed up my car, my cute little BMW convertible, and I hit the road after really sad goodbyes to my sister and her family. I hit the road, and not even 20 miles outside of Fort Collins, my engine completely burned up. The radiator had been drained of fluids, and it burned out the engine. It was overheated. So my sister was able to come back and get me because I was close enough, which was an answer to prayer. She got all my stuff, and as I jumped in the car with her, I just broke down crying. I was exhausted, I was confused, I was frustrated, I was kind of angry, but at the same time, from what God has already brought me through, I knew I could trust Him. I was just really baffled that the plans that I thought were His plans were not His plans at all, which is pretty much the story of my life. But God always messes up our plans when He wants to show us how amazing He is. That, my friends, is what I want to talk about. And if you watch nothing else in this video, I want you to know that if God is wrecking your plans right now and tearing down the walls of your version of normal, it's not because He doesn't care about you. It's not because He forgot about you. It's because He wants to show you how awesome He is and how much He loves you. Okay, so get this. My sister brings me back to her house. I'm wrecked, y'all. And a few hours later, I get a text from the auto guy saying that he had called some wholesalers and found a car that was headed to auction for just under my budget. He wasn't gonna make any money on it, and did I wanna come see it? Y'all, I'm gonna fast forward. I got the car. I got this car that was nothing that I would have chosen, but at the same time, it was an enormous upgrade from my car. And even though it doesn't look like I wanted it to look, it's 6 years newer with 50,000 less miles on it, way better miles to the gallon, and it doesn't take premium gas. God provided. I hit the road later than I wanted to, but I was safer. I was in a much more reliable car, and it was a gift. Like, I got to see God provide this amazing gift. But that wasn't the end of the story. See, this entire week has been full of God moments like that, where He wrecked my normal and showed up in a big way. And I'm not saying this to brag, I'm saying this to brag on God, because He is awesome. And I think there's so many of us, and quite a few of you watching this video, who cannot wrap your heads around the idea of becoming purposefully homeless, like I have, like God has led me to do in order to see God's faithfulness. I'm not saying that this is what you have to do, but I'm saying that a lot of you have really cushy, comfortable lives and couldn't imagine God disrupting that comfort to show you how good He is. Like, you're terrified right now, as I'm saying these words, at the idea of God messing up something that you are super comfortable with, because you believe that God's goodness is tied to your comfort. But God's goodness is not tied to your comfort, it's tied to His character, and He will do whatever He wants with your comfort in order to improve your character. I know I've said this before, but God cares more about who you're becoming than how comfortable you are. And guess what? He cares even more about His own glory and how awesome you see he is than the character he's creating in you, even though that's a really good thing too, and he's definitely doing that. So, in the grand scheme of things, your comfort's like the bottom of the list. His glory is always at the top of the list, and it's never something that he's going to get out of you by being mean to you. So I just feel like I need to share this right now. If you're going through something really hard right now, that doesn't mean God is mad at you. Anything that happens to us that is less than desirable or even super, super difficult, it is allowed by God because he loves you. And I don't want to diminish the grief and pain that we go through. But God is carrying us. He has not forgotten us. There is nothing that happens to us that hasn't passed through his hands first. And he is working all things together for your good and for his glory. So whatever happens to you, the good things and the absolutely horrible things, he's allowing it in order to show you his goodness through it in some way, to show you his faithfulness through it in some way, to show you how much he loves you through it in some way, in order to teach you how to trust him in some way. Y'all, our perception of who God is way too small. My perception of who God is and how good he is way too small. Over the course of this week, God has provided for me above and beyond any idea of how he could, with a new car and an apartment to stay in with nobody in it by a total stranger who just simply loved Jesus and wanted to open her house to me. And then I made it to Dallas, Texas, and I have this beautiful apartment that I'm in right now from another friend who is out of town and offered to let me stay in her apartment without her for an entire week. Y'all, that is crazy hospitality. That is crazy grace. And that's just a few of the examples of how God's come through this week. And that's undeserved grace, because my normal has taught me to believe the lie that I have to earn every good thing. That maybe Jesus gave me grace for salvation, but after that, every good thing, I have to earn it. I've got to do something good enough. I've got to help little old ladies across the street. That's not a bad thing, but I don't have to earn God's grace for salvation or ever again. God's grace is undeserved favor every single day of our lives. Every single day you take a breath, that's God's grace. Every single day that your bills are paid or not, that's God's grace. And you know why? Because even when God doesn't provide the way you think he should provide, he is still good. And he's doing something, whether you know what it is or not, he's doing something good in your struggle, just as he's doing something good in your triumph. And y'all, this week I've seen people who love Jesus, and I've seen people who need Jesus, and I've seen people who love Jesus but don't understand how much he loves them, how much grace he has for them. And I've experienced the same thing. I have been rocked by God's grace this week. Y'all, I am so grateful. So the point I want to land on is that we have believed these cultural lies that the story we live in is the greatest reality, and that we have to live by that story's standards and rules in order to survive and get ahead. But God has a different reality for us, and it is 10 million times better than the reality that the world constructs for us. So I want to share with you this mini visual that God gave me while I was praying about this video today and what to share with y'all. And that was this. I saw a person in this beautiful, like absolutely extravagant garden. And yet in the middle of this beautiful place, there's this person trapped in a box. Basically, they're in this structure surrounded by 4 walls with no windows, and they believe that that is freedom. They believe that that is what we're supposed to live in. And then I saw God ripping down these walls and setting this person free. There's a meme floating around Instagram that's been around for a while actually, but it's this picture of Jesus kneeling down in front of a little girl. The little girl has this tiny little teddy bear behind her back, and Jesus has this enormous, awesome teddy bear behind his back, and he is hiding it from her right now while he asks her to give him her tiny little teddy bear. And this is the picture that I saw today in this in this visual of the person in the box. And this box was in this beautiful place, but the person couldn't see it because they were so used to their box, this prison that they had made. And what I think God wants to share with all of us today, myself included, is that when we can trust Him and surrender our normal to Him, He's got the most wildly extravagant gifts for us, and all we have to do is trust Him. It's not gonna look the way we want it to look, maybe not immediately, maybe not ever, but it's gonna be better. I promise you that. Guys, I love you. I'm praying for you. If you want to support what I'm doing here with these videos, this is why I'm doing this journey, to document and share these things, share God's faithfulness, encourage you. If you want to be a part of this, I would be so appreciative because God is providing for me through you. So if you want to be a part of this and you want to support what I'm doing, please consider being a part of my Patreon family. The link is in the description box below. I will see you next week. Like it, subscribe, share with your friends. Have an amazing week. Bye. If you watched all the way to the end of this video, I want to know, when you play pool, do you choose stripes or solids? And yes, this pillow just inspired that question. Don't judge me. I'll see you next time. Bye.